All right, let's talk about data mining. You hear this term thrown around all the time, but what does it actually mean? Today, we're going to dig in and break down exactly how this process turns these giant, messy piles of data into pure, actionable knowledge.
You've probably felt this, right? We're living in an age of total information overload. I mean, every single second, companies are collecting just insane amounts of data. Every sale, every click, every piece of customer feedback. But here's the thing, just having the data isn't the same as understanding it. It's that classic problem of being surrounded by water, but having nothing to drink.
Okay, so let's really get into this definition. You know, it's funny, the name data mining is a little bit misleading. When you're mining for gold, you're not trying to find more dirt, right? You're sifting through the dirt to find the gold. And it's the exact same idea here. We're not mining for more data. We're mining through all of that data to find the valuable hidden patterns, those little golden nuggets of knowledge that can actually drive smart decisions.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, hold on, isn't this just statistics? And that's a great question. They're definitely related, but they start from totally different places. See, with traditional statistics, you usually begin with a very specific question, a hypothesis, like, do our weekend promotions actually increase sales? And then you test that idea on a small sample of the data. Data mining, on the other hand, it kind of flips that. It often starts with a much broader goal, like, let's just find any interesting patterns in our sales data, and then it sifts through all of it to see what comes up.
So, when we're digging for this treasure, what are we actually looking for? Well, data mining generally hunts for 4 major types of patterns. Let's break them down.
First up, we've got associations. This is all about finding things that tend to show up together. And this is where we find that classic, almost legendary example from what's called market basket analysis. It's the one about how customers who buy diapers on a Friday are also weirdly likely to buy beer. Now, that's not just random. It uncovers a deep pattern about who that shopper is and what their weekend looks like. Next is predictions. This is exactly what it sounds like, using historical data to make a really good guess about what's going to happen next. It could be something simple like forecasting the weather, but think about it in a business setting. It's incredibly powerful. You can predict which customers are most likely to buy something, or even more importantly, which ones might be about to ditch you for a competitor.
The third pattern is finding clusters. What's really cool about this is that it's often an unsupervised technique. All that means is you don't tell the computer what to look for. You don't start with labels like good customer or bad customer. Instead, you just feed it the data and let the algorithm find natural groupings all on its own. So a store might suddenly discover it actually has 3 totally different types of customers, say budget-conscious families, young professionals with cash to burn, and last-minute gift shoppers.
And finally, we look for sequential relationships. Now, this sounds a lot like associations, but with one crucial difference. Timing is everything. The whole goal is to find events that happen in a specific order. So a bank might discover that customers who open a checking account are super likely to open a savings account within the next 6 months. Knowing that sequence means they can send out a perfectly timed offer right when the customer is ready for it. Okay, so that's the theory. It's interesting, sure. But how does this all play out in the real world? Let's get into some absolutely incredible case studies to see how this stuff gets real results. Take the outdoor retailer Cabela's. They wanted to get a single complete picture of their customer. So they used data mining to analyze everything, sales, catalogs, web data, you name it. And the results, as their marketing director put it, were absolutely transformative. And the impact was just huge. They didn't just understand their customers a little better, they used predictive models to fine-tune their marketing, which boosted response rates by an incredible 60%. They started picking new store locations based on hard data, not just gut feelings. They even created a 5-star rating system to give their best customers top-tier service. All right, let's jump to a totally different industry, insurance. Infinity PNC had a huge, expensive problem with fraudulent claims. But by applying predictive analytics, they completely changed the game. Their new system literally doubled the accuracy of their fraud detection. I mean, just look at these numbers. A 403% ROI? That's staggering. But here's what's really cool. It wasn't just about catching fraudsters. The system also got really good at identifying legitimate claims, which meant they could fast-track 80% of them. So customer service got way better, and oh yeah, they also recovered an extra $1 million in the very first month. Data mining isn't just about making money, though. It can have a profound impact on society. Look at this number, -27%. That represents the drop in serious crime in Memphis, Tennessee over just 4 years. So how on earth did they do that? Well, their program, called Blue Crush, mined years of historical crime records and police reports. Now, it wasn't some crystal ball predicting who would commit a crime, but it got incredibly good at predicting where and when crimes were most likely to happen. This let them put police resources where they were needed most, proactively making the whole city safer.
These results are just amazing, right? But they don't happen by accident, and they definitely don't happen by magic. Successful data mining follows a really rigorous standardized process. Let's take a look at the industry's go-to blueprint. This is what's known as CRISP-DM. Yep, I know, it's a mouthful. It stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining, but just think of it like a 6-step recipe. You start by understanding the business problem. Then you understand your data, you prepare it, build your models, test them, and finally, roll out the solution. And it's a cycle. You're often looping back.
Now, looking at those 6 steps, where do you think people spend most of their time? Building the models, right? Testing them? Nope. Not even close. The surprising and honestly kinda crazy reality is that roughly 80% of the time and effort on a project is spent on just one step: data preparation.
And why is that? Well, it's because real-world data is, well, it's a mess. It's almost always incomplete, inconsistent, and full of errors. So that whole data prep phase is about pulling data together from different places, cleaning up all the junk, getting it into a format you can actually use. It's all that unglamorous work that has to happen. Because without it, any model you build is completely worthless. You know the saying, garbage in, garbage out.
So we've seen the incredible power of data mining, and we've peeked behind the curtain at the process. As we start to wrap things up, let's tackle a few common myths and think about the bigger picture here.
Let's bust a few myths real quick. First, data mining is not a magic crystal ball. It's a scientific process. Second, this idea that you need a PhD to do it, not anymore. Modern tools have made it way more accessible. And third, you don't always have to build a whole separate database for it. A lot of modern systems can do this kind of analysis directly, just like we saw with Cabela's.
And this all leads us to one final and honestly really important thought. We've seen the incredible things data mining can do for businesses and for society. But we have to remember the data we're mining isn't just a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet, it represents real people. So the ultimate question we're left with is this: as these tools get more and more powerful, how do we balance that amazing pursuit of knowledge with the fundamental right to privacy for the actual people behind the data?